Hey guys, Moldran here, and today I'm going to talk about pricing of high value items. Now, high value items, what is a high value item? It depends on your budget, how long you play the game and so on. But for me personally, for example, it starts at 100 million gold, 200 million gold items. But for example, if you are a new player to the game, it could also be 10 or 20 million gold. And what I noticed is that many people price the items wrong, often underpriced, and sell them for less than what they're actually worth. So let me show you a few examples. For example, if you take my own gear, I pretty much purchased everything underpriced. For example, this mempo I bought for 1.25 billion. The same person could have sold it for 3 billion or more because I got a 3 billion offer for this, had it in the trade window but declined. Because I also want to keep good gear for PvP. And yeah. Other things, for example, when it comes to flipping items, which I'm also going to touch today, is, for example, this Echoing Fury, 1.2k DPS, 98% crit damage socket. I got it for 700 million gold. Again, it was very underpriced. And yeah, the seller lost, let's say, 1.3 billion. And this shouldn't happen, and that's why I make this video now. Now, I also bought another Echoing Fury, which was my own Echoing Fury, and it was pretty much the same thing. This is worth 3 billion, but I got it for 2 billion gold. Because the guy probably thought, okay, 2 billion gold is max value. Or this guy was actually the one that didn't know that you can't bid more than 2 billion. But even if you would have known it, sometimes it's better to sell such items outside of the auction house on third-party websites, which I'm gonna show at the end. Now, what about this 700 million Dex Echoing Fury? Now, if you find or flip an item like this, what I did, for example, I was skimming. Skimming means I start with a high value and then I go down until someone finally buys it. So, for example, on the 12th December, I started at 2 billion gold, then I went down to 1.8 billion gold one day later, then I went down to 1.7 billion gold one day later, and then at 1.6 billion gold, it sold. 700 million profit, almost 660 million gold profit, just by flipping this one item. And if you do this with, let's say, 10 items, okay, some are less, then that's a quick way to get a few billion gold. Of course, you need to have the starting capital, which in my case, I always grew it. I always had a lot of gold since the beginning, and yeah. Now, the next thing I want to show you is flipping items. How am I doing it? How do I always know what is underpriced and what is not underpriced? Now, pretty much every second or every third round I'm going to the auction house and flipping items, I find something that's underpriced. And let me show you now how I find these items. Okay, so my way to track the prices of items so that I'm always perfectly aware of how much items are worth, and that if I buy something, if I flip something, it's actually really underpriced and that I really can sell it for more, is I keep track of the prices. For example, one day every week is my flipping day where I don't stream that often but do other things. And what I do is I track down the prices and how they increase or decrease over the weeks. For example, here we have the mempo. Now you can see, for example, at one point before you start the flipping, you note down, okay, for example, with 3% grid chance, the cheapest one is 470 million gold. With 4% grid chance, the cheapest one is 580 million gold, and so on. And then every day, let's say every 1 or 2 hours, you keep searching for such items. Of course, not just the mempo, but also other items. And if you see, for example, then a 4% grid chance mempo for 300 million gold, which often happens, then you just buy it and then you resell it for, let's say, 550 million gold. And that yields you like almost 100 million gold profit. And what you can also see over the weeks, the mempos got cheaper. For example, if you take 4.5%, or actually let's take 4%, you can see it went from 580 to 450 to 400. The only thing that didn't went cheaper is the 6% grid and 9% attack speed ones, because here you can see they're still 2 billion at least. So they really top high-end items, they keep their value. And yeah, if you do that with certain items, if you always are aware of what items are worth, then you won't make mistakes. Then, for example, if you find a mempo with, let's say, 5% grid chance, you know exactly, currently they're worth 700 million gold, so that's what I should sell them around. And then things like selling an Echoing Fury that's worth 2 billion for 700 million won't happen. Now, what should you do if you're in a situation where you find a top item, you know it's a top item, but you don't know how much is it worth exactly, and you're afraid of either selling it too expensive or too cheap? First way is you ask friend. Second way is to ask some people or streamers, smaller streamers that have time, or websites, Reddit, D2JSP for price checks or how much it's worth. But a third, there are two other methods that I personally like. One is to ask for, or to put the item up for sale on the Diablo 3 Battle.net forums or on D2JSP, and people will find it and will bid on it. For example, the best Echoing Fury in the world was sold for 7,500 euro that way. Otherwise, like if another person would have found the Echoing Fury, maybe it would have been sold for 2 billion gold on the gold auction house or 250 euro on the Realman auction house, which actually was the case. But yeah. And then the last option or another option that you have is just put up the item bid only. Now this is an option if you know the item is not worth more than 2 billion. But if you're not if you're unsure if it's worth 400 or 600 or 800, then this is an option. But it's also a risky option because I'm also looking, for example, people like me or other people that flip items are looking just for those items and always trying to buy them underpriced or for what they're worth. But this also means that if there are people flipping items and finding the items, you always get at least almost as much as they're worth. And yeah, what are the forums that I was talking about? Of course, there are official Battle.net trading forums, but what's even better is this forum here called D2JSP. Now, as I said before, it's only worth using if you have, or if you really have a high value item. For low and medium value items, this is not worth like this process to post items here, find buyers and so on. Low and medium value items will just list in-game directly, do the normal price checking that I showed in my other video, and that's pretty much it. Or for example, if really all your 10 auction house slots are full in game, then you could even go here with medium items, because here you're traded without the 50% fee and without the auction house. So this is a direct trade to trade. But then again, it also adds a risk to it, because you could be scammed if someone does some sort of trade scam or removes the gold and so on. But generally speaking, if you don't do a mistake, you can't really be scammed. Now those forums are pretty active. You can see here in just 8 minutes ago, all those people posted. In just 20 minutes ago, all those people posted, and some of the topics are really active. Some get really, if I take a random topic here, let's say this here, one of the best calamity, you find an item, this guy knows, oh, this is a top calamity, and then people start bidding. You see, it starts with 500 million gold, and if you go to page 3, 600 million gold, and yeah. And yeah, that was pretty much it. To sum it up again, high value items, always make sure that you know or are informed about the value of the items, either if that's asking a friend or people that really are into this and know a lot about the values and that you can trust, or keep your own Excel sheet, track the prices, or what you could also do is, without an Excel sheet, just track the prices every day, because then you also get a feeling for it, what is underpriced, what is not underpriced. And the third way, or if you have really top end items that are either worth more than 2 billion or you're unsure how much they could be worth, just put them for sale on websites like D2JSP or even the official forums, and you should get a buyer for it that pays you what it's worth. So yeah, hope this video was useful for you, and I'll be back.